Trump's a
Yeah, why is that?
I don't know. We don't like him. That's the word around here.
Any particular reason why you don't like him?
No clue at all. I'm just going with everybody else saying.
Currently at the No Kings protest here in Carrollton, Texas, and it is almost exclusively all old white people.
The plan was simple. Flood the streets on October 18 with a catchy brand, No Kings, then declare a youth uprising against Trump. What actually showed up across most places that were not deep blue cores looked like a retirees' book club that took a wrong turn and wandered into a rally. The message was supposed to be organic and anti-authoritarian, yet the images and chants kept sliding into the same tired extremes: open Antifa branding, violent slogans, foreign flags, and a handful of professional activists with the same prefab signs that seem to reappear city after city. Start with the biggest tell. In New York City, the midday crowd was decent by modern left protest standards. Then, almost on the dot between 1 and 2 in the afternoon, the whole thing thinned, as if a buzzer sounded. Maybe it was a coincidence, and maybe it was the end of a shift. When you see a uniform dispersal pattern like that, you are not watching a grassroots flash mob. You are watching an operation that is scheduled. The national press packaged this as everyday Americans standing for democracy. The branding pointed to a polished movement with a patriotic name, and the street theater behaved like an event that needed a wrap time. The Antifa mask also slipped, again. The same crowd that swears Antifa is just an idea, and that Democrats do not flirt with militant communism, showed up with boards and tees that shouted the opposite. The old revisionist bits were out in force, stapling historic anti-fascists like Churchill onto modern black bloc aesthetics, pretending that World War II veterans were secretly Antifa, and laundering a fringe symbol into the mainstream by declaring, "If you oppose us, you must be a fascist." It is a semantic trick that is older than Weimar, and it is the same circular logic they use for anti-racism. If you oppose the program, then you are a racist. The goal is not clarity. The goal is permission. You saw the permission slip in the slogans. The only good Nazi is a dead Nazi, held by a man dressed head to toe in black. They call anyone to their right a Nazi. Moderates, parents at school boards, basic conservatives, then declare that violence is justified against Nazis. That is how you turn a street slogan into a pretext. The pattern is not hypothetical. We have watched it play out in Portland, in Seattle, and in any city where the political class winks while the hardcore goes to work. Even never-Trump celebrities cosplayed for the cameras. When a DC fixture like George Conway wears a shirt that reads, "I am Antifa," he is not signaling intellectual anti-authoritarianism. He is normalizing a movement that has a very specific, very violent pedigree. Chicago's mayor poured gasoline on the same fire with his rally cadence. Are you ready to defend this democracy? Are you ready to fight fascism? Are you prepared to destroy authoritarianism? Followed by the usual no peace chant. It is the textbook version of stochastic incitement. He knows his city has already seen targeted action against federal agents. He knows what his own rhetoric does in a tinderbox, and he keeps striking flint anyway. The press will claim it is just metaphor, and yet the same official only weeks ago accused the Trump administration of bringing civil war to his streets. If your city has already tasted blood, you choose words that cool it down. He chose the opposite. Then there were the signs that said the quiet part loudly. Free Luigi, a celebration of a man the activist fringe treats like a folk hero for violence. 8647, the usual edgy numerology. Foreign flags sprinkled through a supposedly patriotic democracy march, because the coalition is not about America first. It is about anything that needles America. None of that is an accident. It is the visual way to tell normal voters this is not your lane. This is ours. And if you come too close, we have names for you. Outside the big blue cores, the demographics were brutal for the left's myth-making. In Marion, North Carolina, in Charlotte, in Asheville, the images were almost comical. A few rows of seniors holding laminated placards, a chorus that could barely hear its own leader, and a vibe that felt more like Sunday in the park than the vanguard of a revolution. Even in Atlanta, a city where Democrats rely heavily on black turnout, the camera panned across a sea of older white boomers. If this is the coalition that is supposed to defend democracy and stop a dictator, why does it look like the last meeting before the condos convert to assisted living? This is not an insult for sport. It is a political reality check. The left used to sell itself as the party of the young and the working class. Now the working class votes for Trump because the border is broken, groceries cost more, and the cultural left treats their values like a punchline. Gen Z is not buying the act either. Youth margins have tightened, and in some places, shifted right outright. That leaves a lot of legacy donors, a lot of retired professionals, and a lot of people who came of age in the campus radicalism of the 60s, now trying to cosplay as a proletariat that never shows up for them. You cannot build a street movement on a base that goes to bed by 9. The backfire was not just about age. Moderates stayed away because the pitch was incoherent. One minute this was supposed to be a nonpartisan defense of norms, no kings. The next minute the bullhorns were screaming fascist at half the country. The Antifa branding was waving from the front row. And the mayor of a major city was shouting no peace. Independents who hate chaos watched the clips and saw exactly what they always see when this coalition gets loud. A bait and switch. Say democracy, delivered downtown is closed again. The overseas satellites only made the messaging sloppier. Americans abroad gathered in Madrid, a monarchy, to chant no kings. It is the sort of blind irony that happens when a brand travels faster than a thought. In Toronto, the crowd had to rename the thing to No Tyrants because Canada actually has a king. The videos from both places were the same story as Atlanta and Asheville. A handful of older liberals trying to chant a slogan that no one young believes anymore. Another note that gives the game away, the uniformity of the signage. The fonts, the colorways, the phrases, the professionally printed runs all tell you this was coordinated. Movements that grow from the ground up do not lock up a design system in a week, and they do not empty out on a clock. The camera crews got their B-roll by early afternoon, the organizers got their content, and the streets got quiet in time for lunch. Here is the dirty little secret these events expose every time. There is no real distance between the elected left and its masked muscle. They play off each other. The officials talk clean for the 6 o'clock local. The street crew says what the officials cannot say out loud, and the result is motion in the same direction. When it is useful, the politicians say Antifa is not real. When it is useful, they flirt with the aesthetic. When it is useful, they repeat the street's language about fascism and no peace into a microphone with a city seal. The two hands deny that they shake, while everyone can see the handshake. If you are a young voter who is not buying it, or a moderate who just wants quiet competence, the contrast could not be clearer. On one side is a coalition that keeps inviting you to shout words you do not believe, while your city gets more expensive and less safe. On the other side is a coalition that says, go to work, keep your money, secure the border, support the cops, and stop pretending that performance art is policy. No King's Day was supposed to be a flex. It became a mirror. It showed a movement that is older than it pretends, smaller than it advertises, and more extreme than it admits. Keep your eye on the scoreboard, not the slogans. If the aim was to move young voters and moderates, it failed, because young voters want futures. Not theater, and moderates want calm, not clenched fists. If the aim was to mainstream black bloc rhetoric by wrapping it in a flag, that failed too, because the country can still tell the difference between patriotism and a costume. If the aim was to prove there is energy on the left, what we got was a long afternoon of shaky call and response from a crowd that looked like it needed folding chairs. You do not beat Trump by yelling king at a man who is not one. You beat him by persuading Americans that your policies make their lives better. On that test, the day was a washout. If you want facts without the cosplay, stick here. Like the video, subscribe, turn on notifications, and drop your thoughts below. We will keep tracking the headcounts, the funding tells, and the rhetoric that turns into broken windows. And we will keep asking the only questions that matter. Did this help your family? Did it keep your city safe? And did it move a single normal person 1 inch in your direction?